This is going to be a multiple part video. This part of the video is just me taking it apart, diagnosing it, and seeing what's wrong with it. I called GenKen Kiln down in Lakeland, Florida. I actually picked up the telephone and called them. And they are going to ship me a new heating element, the whole length of the heating element. In the video I discussed that I'm going to try to fix it. That ain't going to fly. They were incredibly helpful. I gave them my serial number. This kiln was built in 2001, so it's now it's 2023, so the kiln's 22 years old. And it's lasted that long, or it's lasted this long, so I've got no complaints. GenKen was very helpful. I talked to the girl on the phone, the lady, the service representative on the phone. She was super duper helpful. And they're going to ship the part to me. Hopefully I'll have it next week for $50. Everywhere else I called local, they didn't want to touch it. They didn't want to have anything to do with it. They didn't want to help me whatsoever. I said, the heck with it. I called GenKen, and magically everything worked out well. I wanted to get the part local. That wasn't going to happen. So GenKen gets 2 thumbs up for right now. We'll see if it's the right part when it gets here. I'm assuming that it's just going to be a generic length of heating element that I'm going to feed into the trough where the heating element goes, and we'll be good to go from there. So enjoy the rest of the video, and please excuse the audio. My shotgun mic connection, I haven't been using it because I forgot to turn it off and kill the 9-volt battery so many times that I stopped using it. There we go. We'll see how the rest of this project goes. Okay. Because everything's better with a cigarette. To quote a famous politician, Rahm Emanuel to be exact, never let a tragedy go to waste. So this morning I'm out here blowing away, George Glass from Canada, and I hear a very distinctive noise. And that very distinctive noise is the sound of an electrical short over my right hand shoulder. If you don't know what that noise is, then this video ain't for you. So what happened? I have right here a GenKen glass annealing oven, the deluxe bead. Let's see here. It is a deluxe bead 120 volt 10 amp annealing oven, bead making oven, kiln. The GenKen actually doesn't make this model anymore. I bought this in 2000 and something or other, probably 2000. Yeah, in 2000 I got this. So it's 22 years old. Now, granted, it did have a couple years of hiatus, but the truth of the matter is I also used to carry this thing around with me, which was asinine now that I look back at what I was doing. It was stupid. I didn't need to do that. So, like any kid at Christmas knows what the smell of a short circuit is, and the sound of a short circuit. I'm sitting here, I'm blowing glass, bzz, I hear a short circuit. I didn't think a whole lot of it. This particular kiln uses an old style momentary switch. It's actually, oh, I forget the name of it. I'll put it in post. The type of switch that this uses. So it's on for a certain amount of time, off for a certain amount of time, on for a certain amount of time, off for a certain amount of time. And then it has a low and a high setting. So a low setting just allows a certain amount through the high setting is high all the time. This thing on high will get up to like 2,500 degrees. It will fuck some shit up. So, what happened? Like I said, I originally thought it was just the switch making a funny noise. It's pretty dirty in here. It's old. Contacts, when they open and close, they have a tendency to go burr. Now, the element inside my kiln has decided to pop. So I'm going to move the camera, and I'm going to try to get a shot of it. Then we're going to take the kiln apart, and I'm going to take the kiln apart and replace the element. The elements in kilns are a consumable item, and they will last forever. How many cycles there are to a kiln, that's as long as it's going to last. When you buy a kiln, you buy three things. You buy the refractory container, okay, which is the kiln, okay, which is made out of brick and steel. You buy the controller, and then you buy the element. Then you can combine the element and the controller in the same thing. So we're actually going to have two videos here, because I had originally, in my head, decided that I was going to get rid of this momentary switch and replace it with a digital controller that would hold a certain temperature. This kiln will not hold a certain temperature. I have a piece of tape here on it's unplugged, on here where I would set it so that that's as high as it needed to be to get up to temperature, but it would always overheat. It was starting to overheat at this, and I should have known that when it was overheating at this particular tape line with the door. So there's a door on this side. I'll give a full of the kiln in a minute. A tour of this kiln in a minute. They don't actually make this model anymore. So I had a feeling that something was wrong, and I had a feeling that something was going to go wrong. So let's take a look at what I got going on here. So this kiln actually has an open door here. Okay. Now, a huge problem with this kiln is that this door isn't big enough. The new kiln, I don't want to say eliminates this, but this is bigger on the new kiln. It also opens to the side here. There's a brick. Oop, there's a brick right here that I don't want to take out right now. And here's the inside. Now you'll notice on the inside here I have some cloth. This is fiberglass. This is just plain old fiberglass cloth that I used to use for fixing boats with, actually. The reason this cloth is in here is because the kiln wash at the bottom of my kiln is starting to go bad. Well, it's not necessarily going bad, it needs to be replaced or redone. I don't know if it'll show up on camera, but you can see where I've been running beads and shit in here for the last 20 years, and it finally, you know, punting rods and what have you, and it's finally started to wear it away, and you can see it on my hands here. It's a natural thing. It's an ablative product. Now the problem, let me see if I can get this to work here. Is right there. Right there. That's where the element collapsed in on itself and broke. So, right there. So let's take this little monster apart. Let's take this little thing apart and see what's inside. What makes all the little whirring, clicking and ticking and gizmos. Let's see, they should be 1/4 inch. They are. So I shouldn't have to say this, and quite frankly, if you're not smart enough to unplug this thing from its power source before you start fucking around inside the power supply, do YouTube and the world a favor and record yourself taking this apart. Because everybody loves a good snuff film. This is only 120 volts, so most likely it'll just be exciting for a minute or a second. Pop of spark. So I'm hoping that there's some wire inside of this thing to give us a little bit of room to work. I would hope so. Otherwise, I got to drill these rivets out. There's a riveted guard on either end of this thing, of the control box here, that I don't want to take apart if I don't have to. So now, 4 screws. These are just self-drilling tech screws. Hopefully they'll go back together without too much effort. Notice I'm using a hand tool, and I'm going to use a hand tool to put this thing back together with too. This is stainless steel banding around this thing. And the screws are going right into... I got all the room in the world. Alright, so what makes this little booger work here? Okay, hopefully this thing will stay in focus. There's a reason I stopped using this camera, and it was a focus issue. Focus? Focus? There's actually a good bit of dust in here. So what do we have going on inside of here is, this is the pyrometer. I'm going to open the lid here and very gently and carefully maybe slide this thing out. No, it doesn't want to work that way. So this is the pyrometer, which is just a fancy word for high temperature thermostat. These are the leads that go to the kiln element itself. And it looks to me like these are just, wow, this stuff's a lot stiffer than I thought it was going to be. And this is the control, and this is just an LED. This is the LED on the front that lets you know that it's on or off. So there we go. There's no positive or negative. Basically, it's just like it's AC. So you know, this is your neutral. Okay, so this is the neutral. This is the hot lead. So the hot lead comes in here, and the hot lead is hot all the time. The neutral is what they interrupt with the momentary switch. And that's bugging me that I'm not using the correct name for that. Now, there's a distinct possibility I can fix this thing like a toaster oven. I'm going to take a little quick poke in here. It's a shame I can't get much better of a shot here. You can't actually see where it's broke on the inside. To get the pyrometer out of here, it looks like I'm going to have to cut that, because that's what's holding the pyrometer in. So I'm going to have to cut this and then re-twist it around. It looks like it welds itself together. And I need a pokey stick. Okay, Harbor Freight saves the day again. Sadly, I'm not sure I'm out of the shot here. So this is the broken piece right there. I kind of want to be a little careful with this thing. Let's see if we can get this to come out. So if this was a toaster oven, which is basically all this thing is, is a glorified toaster. So there's the broken piece. Okay. And yeah, so that's the broken piece. Now that it is broken, chances are that it's just going to break one spot, and then it's going to break in another spot, and it's going to break in another spot. It's just the nature of, ow, fudge. It's just the nature of heating elements. So there's the other broken half. Oh, that's it. There's the cooked little section. Thankfully, it cooked over here and not on the other side. So I think I can probably fix this thing just by twisting these back together. I honestly don't see anything special in here. The only thing I do see that looks like it's going to be a bit of an issue to straighten out is there's retainers. There's little tiny wire retainers that are driven into the they're driven in there, which means I may have to unband it. Almost broke my neck. Which means I may have to unband it to get to the back side of those. I have a feeling that these little retainers in here are pushed in and twisted. So I don't want to get my fat head too much into this. You can see where the refractory product is. Oh, yeah. So that's what's going to happen with this. So that's another broken piece. Oh, yeah. This thing's shot. It shouldn't be that brittle. Now, sorry, you're gonna have to deal with my fat head in the way here. So I'm gonna move the camera again and show you what I'm talking about when I say unband this. I'm really not looking forward to doing that. I may have to disassemble the whole thing because I have a feeling that this entire... All right, so let's widen this shot out a little. So this is what I mean when I say unband this. I have a feeling that those little wire retainers are probably pushed through and twisted on this side. As a matter of fact, if I was building this kiln, that is exactly how I would do that. The other thing I'm going to do, and I'm going to do it right now, is I'm going to take this off of here. I'm going to take that off. These things only have so many heating cycles. I'm disappointed, but I'm not pissed. My cursing is basically limited to I just don't want to be bothered with this kind of crap, but I'm not at all shocked or surprised that that I have to do this. To be, 100% honest, I was actually expecting to have to do this months ago when I started blowing glass again. I had the most peculiar feeling. So this is just a retainer. I'm just going to leave it hang there. This little, oh, it came off. So that is holds these together. Yeah, that's exactly what I thought was going on there. All right, I gotta go grab a pair of pliers. This stuff is actually pretty stiff. I'm not sure whether or not I'm gonna be able to... I don't think I'm gonna have enough wire left inside the kiln to pull it over, which means I may have to disassemble it. I may have to disassemble it further, which I'm not really looking forward to. I really don't want to unband this thing. The second I unband this, it's going to want to fall apart. I don't even know what's holding this piece to this piece. Unless it's glued together, which I don't think it is. This holds the top to the bottom here, so this piece here, and then there's one on the back side. Yeah, there's two on the back side here, so that's what's holding the top to the bottom is this band. I don't think I'm ever going to move this thing again if I don't have to. Man, I used to carry this thing around like a suitcase. Straighten that out. I'm a little worried about the ceramic. Like, everything on this thing is ceramic and it's heat resistant. The downside of it being ceramic and heat resistant is stuff has a tendency to break really easy. Ceramic does not like to be bullied. It requires a certain level of finesse. Or else you break stuff. It doesn't like to be forced. Oh yeah. So yeah. So this is what goes into the kiln itself. Yeah, I'm gonna have to see if I can get a whole new element. All right. Well, like I said, I had actually planned on retrofitting this with a digital controller or digital thermostat anyway. So we're not. This isn't the end of the world. My wife was actually just teasing me about that. She literally just said to me, this is the least upset I've seen you about. This is the least upset I've seen you about breaking anything for a long time. Well, and like I said, this was it's not planned, but it's definitely not unexpected. The pissy part is going to be if I have to take this apart. I'm kind of hoping that that's not the way it is, but if I was manufacturing this kiln, I would twist those together and hold it in place and require their replacement when you swap the element out. Well, I'm gonna make a phone call here and see whether or not I can get a new element for this, a generic element, and install it, or I have to go to the manufacturer and get one. I'm really not looking forward to going to the manufacturer and getting one. And I'm 99% sure that I can't stretch this wire long enough, because that's the end of it right there. And there's not a whole lot sticking out, so I need some more. All right. Well, let's end part one of Uncle Fezzy fried his kiln.